Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Felix here with your Word on the Street, and we're continuing our study in the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ, specifically through the final wrath of God upon man, known as the seven bowl judgments. And if you recall from our previous teaching this week, we went over the first bowl judgment regarding loathsome sores being poured out over the Antichrist and all of his followers who took the mark of the beast and worshipped his image. So now let's open up our Bibles to Revelation chapter 16, verse 3, in a teaching entitled, The Second Bowl Judgment, the Sea Turns to Blood. And here John writes in verse 3, he says, And then the second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it became blood as of a dead man, and every living creature in the sea died. So the obvious information here is that the second judgment is being poured out into the sea. And the main focal point of the Antichrist takes place in the area of like the Middle East area. And this probably is going to be taking place on the Mediterranean Sea. But it's going to be spreading from coastline to coastline all over the world, all over the globe. And that judgment, it's going to infect the sea with the blood red contamination, and all the sea life will be killed. You know, I go deep sea fishing, and I could tell you that when you have like 40 gunny sacks of fish on the back of a boat with the sun shining down on you, the smell starts to get going pretty well. So just imagine that every single living thing in the oceans all around the world being killed and washed up to the shores around the world. You know, not only will the animals die, but those who eat those animals will also die. You know, when I was first studying through the judgments, the second bowl reminded me of what happened in Moses' day, in particular in Exodus chapter 7, verses 14 through 25, that entire section where the waters of the Nile became blood because of Pharaoh's hardened heart. Moses said in he said in verses 17 and 18, he says that, Behold, I will strike the waters which are in the river with the rod that is in my hand, and they shall be turned to blood, and the fish that are in the river shall die, and that river shall stink, and the Egyptians will loathe to drink the water of the river. So many similarities between Exodus and Revelation here, but in this judgment, there will be no life spared from coastline to coastline throughout the world. God will destroy it all. Revelation chapter 16, verse 3, the second bowl judgment, the sea turns to blood, and that's your Word on the Street.